Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakodash. Double honors to the Apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the Akim who are tuning into these videos. All right, so I want to speak about, the prophecies about, WW3 and, how it's going to be, a war pretty much fought with missiles. Yeah, so I got just two articles here. I just want to briefly go over them, to showing you like what kind of scenario is being played out right now. And you got to remember, these prophecies are, getting closer and closer, and one of them being World War III. We're going to see the, the distress of nations, and pretty much every nation go into the Valley of Yehoshaphat so they can do this battle. It's going to be skirmishes here and there, but the main thing about this world war, the final war, is going to be fought with thermonuclear missiles. So it's going to get to a point where, all these other nations round about are going to aim at Babylon, which is America, for all the things that they're doing, meddling in other people's affairs, being in every other continent in the world, and they're just going to strike at it because you can see, paying attention on the news, Babylon is falling, it's crumbling, and it can't get back up. So this is pretty much the perfect time to strike. I'm not saying like no, it's going to happen right now, because we're still seeing the skirmishes and we're seeing the prophecy, lead up to it. It's pretty much getting built up. All right, so this article it happened yesterday. It says Biden orders an airstrike on Iran-backed militias near Iraq-Syria border in response to a UAV attack. So they're going back and forth over there in the Middle East. That's what's gonna drag all these people into the Valley of Yehoshaphat, and fight this final war. You could read the article yourself, because you pretty much get the gist of it. America shot some taxpayer dollars at over there in Syria, Iraq, and the people that they were aiming at were Iranians. So I'm not gonna read the article because the title says all you need. And so after that attack, this happened, the next day, and this is militias. And you see, this is how he's doing his witchcraft, but people ain't buying it anymore. They know that America's a warmongering country, and that they're going to have their way no matter what. They're going to attempt to, try to, pretty much subject all these other nations round about. So it says the militias, it doesn't say who exactly, it just says militias. Like, they'll say insurgents when they say that they killed a whole bunch of kids in the Middle East. Just because they picked up a gun, and they deemed them as a threat, to the armed forces. So it says that the militias fired rockets at the U.S. forces in Syria following airstrikes. So they're pretty much retaliating, and it's going to get to the point where they're going to retaliate so much that they're going to have to do the draft. They're going to have to, pretty much do a whole bunch of things, that's going to lead to the prophecy of World War III. The first woe cometh, and the second woe. Sorry, I'm paraphrasing it, but the third woe, it's coming quickly. And we're coming into these last days. And these are the prophecies that we have to be seeing. Anything on the news, it goes to prophecy. Like with this specifically, there's turmoils and skirmishes. It's alluding to the upcoming battle of World War III. All right, so this is I want to start with Matthew 24 verse 3. If you could read the top, it's talking about when Yahweh Shai was talking to the disciples about the last days, letting them know, what prophecies to look after. So verse 3 says, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privily, saying, tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? And Yahweh Shai answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach, and shall deceive many. So we're seeing all these things happening, all these people, they're believing in false messiahs, false religions, just false ideologies. Even amongst the so-called Black Hebrew Israelites, you got wolves in sheep's clothing. So we're seeing these prophecies unfold. So it says, verse 6. I'll read verse 5 again. It says, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. And so this right here, is technically a rumor of war. It's what you would call a conflict, a skirmish. Because it's not necessarily like a battle. It's just rockets being shot back and forth. But this is a rumor of war because you could see that the other people, they're fed up pretty much, and then they're retaliating more and more. In America, they're going to continue to show their strength and their muscle. So you're going to see these rumors of war, pretty much leading up to an actual war. One where a draft is going to be needed. All right, so verse 6, it says, "And ye shall hear wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." So we're going to continue to see this. We're going to continue to see all the heathen nations beat their plowshares into pruning hooks. All these heathen nations, they're pretty much getting on a level, to the point where they could actually go up against the bully that America is in the block. Like if you're being bullied, but then like you get a growth spurt, you start working out, you don't see that bully as a threat anymore because you're of equal strength. So that's what these heathen nations, that's what they're seeing Babylon. If anything, they're seeing that it was actually just bluffing. It wasn't strong to begin with. But so it says, "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places." We're seeing all those things happen. So not only with Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, all these heathen nations, are speaking ill towards America. Even the NATO and the EU, the beast, they're pretty much going to start hating the whore, and disassociate from them, because it's pretty much it's written in the scriptures that this is going to happen. This devil is going to have a lot of infighting. He's going to have all of his friends who were once his friends, turn to enemies. And this is all prophecy, because it says here in Zephaniah 3:8, that the Lord Yahweh is gathering these heathens round about, because the Lord is not slack concerning his promises. So if he says that these prophecies are going to be fulfilled, they're going to be fulfilled. He's not going to skip one. They're all going to lead, ultimately to the the RFID microchip, the World War III, and then the chariots coming to deliver the elect. But we're not going to we're not going to see all these prophecies skip. We're going to see them play out. All right, so this is Zephaniah 3 verse 8. It says, "Therefore wait ye upon me, saith the Lord, until the day that I rise up to the prey, for my determination is to gather the nations." So it's pretty much, it's his plan, to set all these heathen nations round about in the valley of Yahushua, because you got to understand that he's a man of war. He wants to have his son Yahushua come back in the midst of all that. He wants to deliver the hopeful elect in the midst of all that. And so he's determined to do that, and he's not slack concerning his promises. So it says, "For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them mine indignation, even all my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy." Because all these heathen nations have done the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans ill. They didn't treat them right. And we're the apple of the Most High's eye. So there's a judgment, for all the things that Esau mainly, being the number one heathen, and then all these other heathens round about, because they helped forward the affliction, and they're pretty much in cahoots with Esau Edom, to keep the Hebrew Israelites down, to make them cut off from their power, from being a nation. All right, so another precept I have, I'll just start from Obadiah I'll start at verse 4. It says, "Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord." And the scriptures say that pride goeth before destruction. And this devil, in the country of Babylon, he's the proudest guy out there. So he's going to exalt himself above the heavens, yet he's going to be brought down. Because all these heathen nations is going to get into it. It says, verse 5, "If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes?" Because this devil, he's all over in other people's affairs. he's pretty much stealing things of the world, all the resources, and pretty much putting all these heathens in a subjection, in taxes, because they all have to deal with the fiat money, because of the petrodollar. Verse 6, it says, how are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? All the men of that confederacy have brought thee even to the border. So all these people who were his friends, even the beast nation, they're going to hate this whore. It says, the men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. Because Esau, he's over here, he's trying to be like the Most High. He's trying to take care of these heathens, but he doesn't really know what he's doing, because really he's just trying to use and abuse them, for their resources and energy and their money and their time. So it's gonna get to the point where they're drinking the Babylon juice, and they're gonna be fed up with it. They're gonna be so fed up that they're gonna get their plowshares and turn them into weapons, and their plowshares and pruning hooks into swords. All right, so another precept I have is 2 Ezra 15, and I want to start at verse 15. I'll start at verse 14. It says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. So this is the prophecy that we're looking for: sedition among men. Total chaos out there. And verse 16 says, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall not stand in their power. And we're seeing that in every aspect over here in Babylon and all around the world, from the Edomite household, to the White House. There's skirmishes within it, there's infighting, and then people aren't regarding the people who are in charge of the show, because pretty much they're gonna get fed up with it, like how they did in January 6th, and try to do things by their own means. So, and with that, it's World War III. It's gonna be pretty much like an all-out war. All right, so but the thing is, like I want to say too, is like this war, it ain't gonna be no a war with muskets and swords. It might, like a little bit of a civil war here in America, but it's gonna be mainly with the thermonuclear missiles, because you can see in the article they're just shooting missiles and UAVs. I didn't really read into the article to find out the death toll, how many people got hit, but pretty much it was missiles that they were shooting at each other. And so this is Isaiah 9 verse 5. It says, for every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. It's letting you know that the ultimate, thing about this World War III is going to be those thermonuclear missiles. Like how World War I, it was mainly about the planes, because they made the planes, I think, in 1915. I don't remember exactly when. Then they militarized it. Then in World War II, they started militarizing Panzer tanks. So in World War III, it's going to be all about the rockets. All right, so a few more precepts is Job 20 verse 20 says, surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not save of that which he desired. Speaking about how Esau, he's not going to prevail. Not only is he not going to prevail amongst, the people that he's fighting with himself, he's not going to prevail against the heathens gathered about, and he's definitely not going to prevail when the chariots come back and Yahushua returns. In verse 21, it says, there shall none of his meat be left. Therefore shall no man look for his goods. In the fullness of his sufficiency he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. So he's not going to be able to succeed in his new world order. He's not going to succeed in winning a new world war. So verse 24 says, he shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow of steel shall strike him through. So these are the parables in the scriptures that are talking about those thermonuclear missiles, the glittering sword. That the Lord bendeth the bow and they shoot, and no one can turn them around. So it says, verse 25, it is drawn and cometh out of the body. Yea, the glittering sword cometh out of his gall. Terrors are upon him. And it's talking about those missiles coming out of the silos. Verse 26, all darkness shall be hid in his secret place. A fire not blown shall consume him. That's going into the science of how these thermonuclear missiles work. It's going to be, like a fire of radiation. It says, "It shall go ill with him that is left in his tabernacle. The heavens shall reveal his iniquity, and the earth shall rise up against him." Because everybody's going to want to get a piece of his devil. Like I said, they're pretty much drinking the Babylon juice, and they're fed up. The nations are mad, because they're realizing that this guy is the devil that the Bible speaks of, and everything that he's about is adversarial towards life. So it says, verse 28, "The increase of his house shall depart, and his goods shall flow away in the day of his wrath. This is the portion of a wicked man from the Most High, and the heritage appointed unto him by the Most High." So the Lord made this devil to be perished, to be destroyed. And that's going to be a beautiful day. Lord willing, we're of that number of the hopeful elect, so that we don't get a touch of that second death. Because that second death in the scripture is speaking about those thermonuclear missiles. Because not only is it going to kill the soldiers and this and that, it's also going to kill the wicked 2/3 of the nation of Israel who are going to get caught in that thermonuclear missile. And so that's the last precept. It says, verse 34, it's like Isaiah 34, verse 5. It says, "For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea and upon the people of my curse to judge." So this place, Idumea, being spiritual Babylon, Egypt, Sodom, Gomorrah, where the Edomites dwell here in America. It's going to be the main place where this sacrifice is going to be at. Of the Lord's sacrifice with his sword that's bathed in heaven. And that's speaking about the thermonuclear missiles. So that's the end of this video. You can keep your eyes on, because things are heating up, as you can see. Look at this devil. So anyways, I want to give all praise, honor, glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachakodash, Shalom Akim.